Hello and welcome to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Adingor. Hello and welcome to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Adingor. This week on Fixing South Sudan, a focus on the relations between Jonglei and Boma states. For decades, the Dinka Boer and the Murle communities have been engaged in a web of violence that facilitates child abduction and cattle rustling. In 1984, thousands of youth from Boer, later to form Corium, were lured into the SPLA revolutionary struggle with the understanding that they would acquire arms to defend themselves from the Murle. Since 2011, various attempts to end historical conflict have been unsuccessful. Is now the time to end the Murle-based conflicts, which were the unfinished business of the liberation. Can Boma and Jonglei look past the violent path to enforce rule of law in the two areas? And can the two top authorities in the two areas fix South Sudan? Joining us for the show are governors of Jonglei and Boma states, namely Honorable Philip Aguer Jot, the governor of Jonglei State, and Honorable David Yauyau Jongkui, the governor of Boma State. It's our pleasure to welcome them to Fixing South Sudan in Bor, Jonglei State. Welcome to the two of you.
Thank you, Madingor, and you are highly welcome to Jonglei State.
Let me start with you. Restoring peace between Boma and Jonglei is a historical burden for any administration in Bor. You have recently started pushing for peace. What is the status of that peace?
You have put it rightly. It's actually a necessary burden. It's necessary because the umbrella that you use to call the Murle is inappropriate. Yes, there are issues between the criminal that conduct child abduction and cattle raiding, and it has been on and off for over a century. And today, as we speak, toward the end of 2018, myself, as a governor of Jonglei State, I'm comfortably convinced that we have really started the beginning to end the conflict, that is child abduction and cattle raiding, with Governor David Yauyau commitment, and with the youth from Boma State that are in the government with him, who are convinced that there is no option for peaceful coexistence between the two communities except peace. So peace and peaceful coexistence is a must, and we have to restore the good relationship that have one time existed between the two communities that have been sharing grazing land, that have been sharing resources. And I believe it's not an easy job. It's a deadly task that has to be fought because we are fighting criminals that are armed up to their teeth.
Between Dinka Boer and Murle, there have been many agreements signed and dishonored. So what assurance are you getting that this peace is going to be a lasting?
I don't say they were dishonored, because the agreement that we signed with Honorable Baba Medan was violated by a group of criminals from the Congolese. And up to the last minute, we were committed. Baba Medan was committed. I was committed. I believe the agreements that have been signed have been spoiled by the spoilers of peace in the region. That is mainly the child abductors and the cattle raiding that have no other jobs, have no other opportunity except to loot, to raid, and survive. But I believe our approach includes a comprehensive approach that will open opportunities for the young generation to go to school and have options. So I believe this time the effort to restore good relationship, to begin to end child abduction and cattle raiding is a serious approach, and I believe we will succeed.
If the spoilers are out there, what is the source of your optimism?
The two obstacles are, one, lack of infrastructure and lack of roads particularly. The second is the weakest law enforcement agencies that exist in the region have allowed the criminal to roam. But we are embarking on establishment of joint integrated police that will be composed of 5 regions, and that will be based in Gadiang. If that is established, definitely there will be no room for criminals.
Governor David Yauyau has been in Bor for the last few days, moving freely in Jonglei State. Is that the strongest indication that you are getting that indeed it's not going to be business as usual?
To me, the strongest indication was when he started to bring the abducted children some years back. And he has continued to bring abducted children. That is the strongest indication. His stay in Bor is a trust building, is a confident building. And yesterday we went to the market and went to the football ground. These are part and parcel of the confident building, because there are few that believe that it is true we can stop child abduction and cattle raiding. And we want to increase the number of that few to be the majority, that they should believe that this is a criminality that can be stopped by the two administration with the support of the national government.
Governor David Yauyau, welcome to the program. For the longest time, you mentioned the name David Yauyau in Bor, and some people would shudder. They would be terrified about your name. And yesterday, you moved freely. You came here without fearing. Why are you in Bor and Jonglei State?
Thank you, Madingor, and all our listeners. Brother Philip, indeed, our being together with Honorable Philip and all the community of Greater Jonglei State is the way how leadership can be really demonstrated. Because if leaders do not really stay together, and if leaders do not share together, if leaders are not friends, it is going to be very difficult for them really to do according to the will of the people. And they will not really show the right way on how, when we talk about coexistence of our various community, and we scatter themselves, we don't share in most cases, it will be giving a very opposite side of the signal. However, our being together is a demonstration of, for us, we are just a civil servant. We are doing on behalf of the country. We are doing on behalf of people. I don't see the point of, because of all this that have been happening within our community, have become our, hatred point that it become a divisive factor, so between us. So we need to be together in most cases, so that all what we have been planning will be demonstrated in a unitary way. This is one. I was here some days, and again I went to Juba and I come back again to Juba. To Jonglei State. I used to move freely. Even today I've just come from Anyedi. I did not inform my friend Philip that I was going to the other side of Anyedi. So means that I'm even confidential. So this is my home, and I have to move freely. And I do speak to communities. This is what our community really wanted. So we are really confidential that we are going to do things together, because the task that has been given to us, it is not our own property that we can own. It is a national kind of duty that we need to do it collectively. So otherwise, scatterly we cannot really do it. That's why we have been together in most cases.
What is the symbolism of your being in Jonglei State, which has been seen as the traditional enemy of the Murale, according to the perception of the people there? When you are here, how do you feel about being here?
Well, in most cases, some of the things are not really audibles if people don't act. So our being together and my being here in Jonglei State means it is another way out of convincing community, of giving peace, hope to the community that all that have been happening in the past, we have really passed them and we have begun it afresh, so that they also do it the way we are doing it. So to me, I don't think that we are paying our attention now to all this that have been happening. We are here to build a new confidence and a fresh starting, so together with our community that we have been leading.
And all that has been happening, there's a history of criminality, child abductions, cattle wrestling. It has displaced many people. You have come in and you are saying now is the time to put a stop to it. What have you done?
What we have done is, when I came from Boma State, I just came by land, through the border, so between Boma State and Jonglei State, bringing some few cows that have been handed over to their respective owners, and also some children to Equatorian community. So these are the starting point. When we talk about, starting things afresh, we have to, demonstrate it, and we have to show that we have really done it. So having seen me, bringing all this that I have mentioned, it is actually the fresh starting of the point that we are leading to. But hopefully, we are going to do it more bigger than expected.
You are making a push, and sometimes you are sacrificing, and I heard that you had to fight with some of these criminals and you lost some of your protection officers. This is being resisted by other people. Will you manage it?
Well, it is not us only the two, the head of the states, Jonglei and Boma State, that are doing these things. So we want really to envelop everybody. We want to envelop our politicians. We want to envelop our two state communities and both state leadership and all the stakeholders, the chiefs, the youth leaders, the women representatives, and everybody, so that we are really doing it together without leaving one behind, together with our national government, especially His Excellency the President of the Republic, General Guer, and all our stakeholders and all our politicians international. So we want to involve them so that this work will not be seen as Governor Philip and Yauyau are the one doing it alone. So we want to make sure that everybody is on board, so that we are really doing it without leaving any spot behind. This is our objective to be achieved in this initiative of bringing peace to our communities.
And Governor Philip, the issues of child abduction, cattle rustling, they are historical. And it will take more than one administration to finish those issues. But what would it take to address them? It will probably take more than violence.
I think, as you put it, yes, it will take more than one administration, because when you are building a system, it is system that lay down the foundation of any development. And without a system, you go through a vicious cycle of falling, rising, falling, rising. Now for us, the policy that we are putting to establish the linkages between the two communities, starting with the roads. Secondly, building law enforcement agencies to support the judiciary system. And we are planning to have a common prisons. And preferably, we wanted a prison between Boma and Rad, a big prison that could be a reformatory for all the 6 ethnicities of Greater Jonglei. We have criminals, we'll put them there, and they can be trained. They can be trained to be agriculturists, to be carpenters, and trained law. If we succeed in building that prison, and we have the police that will be apprehending the criminals, definitely any system that will come later on, any government that will come in Boma or in Jonglei or in Bia or in Fangak will get the system started. And all the criminals will be apprehended by the same police that we are establishing. So the police is the key. Second is the establishment of the courts, joint border courts between these ethnicities. So to me, whatever number of years that it may take, we have to put down a very strong foundation, a very concrete start that will be supported by the people, by the people of Murle, the Dinka, the Anuak, the Nuer, the Kishupo, the Guer, that this is the system that will protect all of us.
How much change can you really set up when guns are washed in the hands of civilians? Is that part of the package?
Yes, the second scenario is the disarmament. South Sudan is a victim of the small arms in the hands of criminal and the illegal carriers of this gun. We have agreed more than once as governors with His Excellency the President and with the members of the armed forces in South Sudan that disarmament is a must. So after we establish the joint integrated police, there will be no reason for anybody to carry a gun in Jonglei State. There will be no reason for anybody to carry a gun in Boma or in Guer, because the police will take the action of protecting the civilian. The problem is when you allow the community to protect itself, then you have to bear with the consequences. And the consequences you will have internally in a stable society that will be destabilized by the gun. Leave alone the cattle raiders and the child abductors. Inside any community with all these arms, there is instability. So the final step will be disarmament. And then the rest will be let the children go to school. You open enrollment of children 100% in Boma, in Guer, in Jonglei State, so that you are guaranteeing a next generation that will know how to read and write. And if they know how to read and write, they can acquire job anywhere, apart from cattle raiding.
The point you are making is that there is an endemic culture of impunity, and to change cultures takes time, and it will take more than disincentives. It will take more than collecting the arms from the people. It will take giving incentives to the people, such as education and such as development. And on this point, Governor Yauyau, I would like to hear from you about the question of disarmament. It is something that has been attempted in the greater Jonglei. It was always resisted in Boma State. And if we have to embark on disarmament, what kind of disarmament are you talking about?
Well, thank you once more again, Madingo, and all the listeners. So the kind of disarmament that we are going to undertake is it is going to be done all over the Republic of South Sudan, not only in Greater Jonglei. Now we have discussed briefly with His Excellency the President when we paid visit to Juba, and it has been discussed by all the governors and government officials in the meeting of Lobanok that there's going to be disarmament that will take place all over the two states of this country. However, when it comes to our side at the Greater Jonglei states, we really need to be very, very serious over this issue of disarmament, because Greater Jonglei tend to be one of the states that happen to have a lot of high rate of criminality in many ways, in abduction of the children, rustling of the cattle, innocent killings, and many other insecurity have been happening, mostly in Jonglei states. Since we are the leadership of these states, we really wanted to make sure that this disarmament is happening as quickly as possible, so that once we successfully, happen to finish up with this disarmament, this is where it will lead us to the road of development, taking our children to school, getting our people into drinking of clean water, and also putting up communication system, formation of the police, the joint police to be trained in guidance that we are talking in most cases will also be expedited as quickly as possible. So this kind of disarmament, it is of course going to be peaceful because it is us who are going to do it. I don't think that there are some worry there in the upcoming disarmament, because Philip, Yauyau, Majok, the governor of Akobo, the governor of Angag, General John Kong, and the rest of our colleagues, we are the ones going to design this kind of disarmament. So we mean we will not harm our community. So having seen our community, heavily harmed with this light arm in their hand, this is the ruining of our civil populations, of which maybe, guns now finish a lot of generations. So if we happen to take away the guns, which means we will build up again a fresh generation that will really do for the best of this community. So this kind of upcoming disarmament is going to be peaceful because we are the one going to take lead over this disarmament.
The last time the disarmament was attempted in Boma, it was resisted by yourself and the use of the Morley. Are you saying now that you are governor, you are going to oversee it? And would you accept it if it starts in your area?
Well, these are the things that I was saying. We cannot really dwell much on the past events. So we need to see how currently can we really handle this greater Jonglei insecurity. So however, so we are not going to do it alone, but we will do it as the teams. So all the greater Jonglei state governors, we are going to be together and design really this kind of disarmament that is going to be ongoing, and so everything will be peaceful. So it will not be like the past one.
You want the disarmament to be simultaneous in all the areas.
Yes.
But the others are saying disarm the Morley first because they have not been disarmed before.
So Philip did not say like that, and neither did I say like that. It is others who say it like that. But for us as the leadership, we are going to do it together.
And also disarmament is just part of the solution. The other solution is what the governor was talking about, education, but also you have been passionate about opening the road between the two communities so that trade flourishes and there's exchange of ideas and movement of people. How far are you going with that goal?
Well, we have started already, and we still have more miles to be done. When we talk about development, so developments happen to be explained in many ways, of which if we started today, so it will not be us who are currently in the leadership that are going to finish up really from A to Z. So we will start where we will stop. I think the others will also continue there, but we will not just leave it unstarted. So we are going to start it. Where we are going to stop, it will be determined by times when we will be still in the leadership or when we will not be in the leadership. But we will start in our time. We'll make sure that we really started in a good foundation.
Governor, are you moving alone or have you brought your community on board? You are the one who is moving freely in board, but do you think your community will feel free to come here? Are they responding to the change that you are talking about?
I remember most of leaders normally when they talk, they don't really talk corresponding to what really the communities under whom their leadings move together with them. But remember when we came together with these 3 Equatorian children and a few cows for South Bow communities, so we came with some chiefs and we came even with some youth representatives. These are the indication of doing things together with everybody is involved.
And Governor Philip Aguer, building trust takes a long time. And yesterday, as you were moving around, there were still people who were harboring some bitter feelings. They remember the past. And it is the past that you want to forget. But they remember a time when Governor Yauyau was rebel Yauyau and wreaking about the areas of Jonglei State. How do you convince those people that, yes, this is peace and you forget about the past?
In fact, it's very difficult to control the feeling of individuals. Yesterday, we had very exciting moment. One of the drunken youth who was completely drunk, and I think he might not be in his full mental capacity, and he wanted to talk. People want to prevent him, but I said, no, let him talk. Then he said, you, Philip Aguer, now you are coming with David Yauyau. If he stopped killing people, tell him to stop killing people. So he said, 2 of you want to kill us. So it was combining 2 of us. And then it was taken away. Now, after a while, another person came with a very soft language and he was talking to me. And then he turned to Yauyau and he said, Pastor David, you see, you can see a society that have divergent opinion. There's somebody in the same occasion that was referring to him as a pastor. So I believe, and many people when...
Rather jokingly.
Yeah, I even don't think that it was joking. Because, you see, there was a time when we were meeting in Juba at SPLM, and people were looking for somebody to pray. And they selected David Yauyau among all the governors to pray. Now, with Rizk Zakaria, he prayed a very classic prayers, and everybody was convinced that this is a man of theology. So theologians can go to war and they can make peace. So, and I believe this is all over the world. Leadership doesn't mean you stop at one point. And leadership always, you have to be dynamic. And I believe for us in Jonglei State, many people are convinced that David Yauyau is the right person that can make peace, because he has demonstrated it. He has brought children that were abducted more than 3 times, you see. So I believe there is no any other leader that have demonstrated the way he have done it, because bringing more than 10 children in several occasions in different times is not easy. At the same time, the ship, the paramount ship of Pibor or Boma that came with him, had demonstrated it, that they have accepted what David Yauyau is doing. They have accepted his war against criminality. For us in Jonglei State, we want to see into it that child abduction, cattle raiding is stopped. And the only person that we need to work together so that we end it is David Yauyau. For us, as Greater Jonglei, we believe in the joint integrated police. So I believe we have more than indicator that we will succeed. The biggest indicator is the support of the President, His Excellency Salva Kiir Mayardit, have approved the training center in Gadiang. So the police training center is not any longer a vision. It's going to be a reality soon. So when we visit Gadiang and we report to the national government, to the police headquarters, to the Minister of Interior, to the President, that this is the place and these are the men that to be trained so that they stop the criminality. Because as my brother Yauyau put it, it's not our business alone as people of Jonglei, it's a national issue. And if we start to demonstrate that we are capable of doing it, I believe the whole nation will support us, and we will be an example in stopping this cattle rustling. The other time, people from Eastern Equatoria wanted to join us, and when we establish the police, we will welcome them. So we have a lot of hopes and opportunities for success.
It's easier to project a positive vision, which you are talking about, but the reality of achieving it is very difficult. So when you talk about ending this kind of impunity and this culture of violence, can you give us an indication when it may subside?
Well, vision is like that. Vision is not easy to be achieved. All the vision around the world, you have to spend some years. You have to exhaust some resources before you achieve it. But what I can tell you, today the relation between Anyede and Gumruk is not like before, because the road is open, business have started, and if we do not embark on this relationship and this exercise, there would have been no business between Anyede and Gumruk. So today, I believe the truck that have gone to Boma after the arrival of David Yauyau to Bor are more than 20. So you can here testify that we have already started to implement the vision. It's not any longer a vision. And when we go to visit Gadiang, it will be another step. Because when we go to Gadiang, and I believe Yauyau will come from Manyabol through Nanam to Gadiang, and we meet there, that will be a very strong indicator. And we will not stop there. We will have to establish a nucleus of the training center. People in Juba, the IGP office is organizing people who can come and join us in assessing the training center. So I believe we have started, and we have the will, we have the determination, we have our people that are eagerly wanting to see peace. The youth in Bor, you could see from the footballers yesterday, they wish that this will succeed. There are people that are doubting, but the majority wanted this effort to succeed.
The morally based insecurity and criminality is part of the mix. But here in Jonglei, you are seeing rising communal clashes. What have you done as governor to quell down the community-based insecurity?
Well, the communal-based insecurity are based on petty issues like the grazing land. And the grazing land, I believe, is the work of the community leadership. The community leadership is weak. It's not like the leadership that has been there in the past. In the past, it was chiefs that negotiate and discuss the grazing land. But the chiefs of today are weakened because the youth is carrying gun. So we believe the political leadership is needed to support the traditional leadership so that they address the communal conflict. And I believe we are moving toward that. There are political leaders that have already arrived here to Bor from Juba. Some are coming tomorrow. I believe when they join with the traditional authority, they will help in addressing the issue of the communal conflict. Otherwise, for us in the state, we have sent forces to the swamp, to the Toj, and we have more than one company in the swamp, and they are facing a lot of difficulties, but they have succeeded to stop the violence. So there's no violence in the swamp now, but we believe the final solution will be reached when the communities sit and discuss among themselves, because this requires dialogue. The strongest ships of Boer community are no longer there. We are seeing the weakest ships in our history.
You would call them weak, but they think maybe it is you who is not playing your role because you have given a hands-off approach to governance, that communities should lead rather than the government leading.
Well,
is that a fair criticism?
Well, it's not fair. They want me to kill them, but if I start killing them, they will cry again that the government is killing people. Because the only thing that I think we might have not done well is to tighten the grip on the civil population so that they don't talk. And if they don't talk again, you will go around and say, this is dictatorship. So when we allow them to talk, to me, that is the usual way, because 30 years ago, 40 years ago, there's no government here in Bor that negotiate the issues of torches. The issues of torches and the grazing land are issues to do with the chieftainship. There is no animal fetish or animal commissioner that have never one day sat in his office with the sheep and discussed the issue of the torch. This is why I'm calling them the weakest sheep, because they could have solved whatever belonged to them in the traditional methodology of solving things. What the government can solve is a real violence that is offhand. But a normal negotiation between the two communities, how do they share grazing land, does not need any tough decision from the government. All over South Sudan, the issues of the grazing are not any longer part of the state. They are part of the traditional authority, local government level.
Jonglei is a place that has a huge potential in terms of development and has its good number of its population scattered across the country and even in other countries. And are you confident that we are going to see peace, and with peace there's going to be prosperity?
Definitely we'll see peace, because the peace has two aspects. The major threat to peace is political turmoil in South Sudan. And this political turmoil has been solved through the peace agreement that was signed in Khartoum. And if that peace agreement succeeds, definitely stability will return. We'll have no rebels in the bush. We'll have no government supporting insurgency in Khartoum. And we will focus on the development. Definitely our displays will come from the IDPs camp, will come from the diaspora, will come from the refugees camp. And I'm confident that 2019 things will change in South Sudan, because when the peace started in Khartoum, I'm one of the people who said nothing good can come out of Khartoum. But when Bashir visited Juba and was given a doctorate of peacemaker, I think that is enough to convince Khartoum that the people of South Sudan want stability. And the millions that were dancing on the tune of peace in Juba have convinced the region and the international community. So I believe that regional actors, international actors, with our national actors will work for peace. The spoilers will be less this time. This is my belief, and stability will come back to South Sudan.
In this program, we speak of fixing South Sudan. Are you fixing South Sudan, or have you fixed South Sudan?
Fixing South Sudan, yes, will start from one mile. And we are starting it here in Jonglei State. If we fix our relations with Boma, with Guer, with Akoba, with Fangak, definitely we will be fixing this important part of South Sudan that will contribute to the development and economic growth of South Sudan, because we have huge resources. We have wildlife, tourism in Boma, we have mineral resources, we have petroleum, and we have agricultural vast areas. So if we achieve peace, definitely these resources will be exploited for the growth of the economy of South Sudan. Yes, we are fixing South Sudan.
Do you think you will put an end to the insecurity between the two states? Will you be known as the governor, at least in Jonglei or in Bor, who put an end to what they call moral criminality?
I think I'm capable of doing that with my brother David Yauyau. We are capable of doing it. Give us some resources and you will see that we'll stop it. We need some roads that should exist between the two states, between the 5 states of Jonglei State. And if these roads are constructed, believe me, criminal will have no chance to hide.
Governor Yauyau, for the longest time, you were pushing to be where you are. And after getting there, there has been a trail of destruction left. So when we talk about fixing South Sudan, are you going to be able to fix South Sudan after you destroyed South Sudan?
I don't think that we have really struggled to be in a position where currently we are. You know, sometimes there are some things that are happened by themselves that we don't really calculate to. And it gives really different meanings if somebody is not happy with the system or with the way how things are set up, or even within the family circle. There are always some disagreements, of which if you know the pot is not, if the table is not organized rightly to the issue of one favor, so automatically the dispute within the family circle is going to be happen there. So to me, I have just seen all the situations that have been ongoing in Jonglei State. It is just within the family circle that are really in a small scale that we don't really picture it as someone really wanted to topple the government or whatever it is there. So, but now we have just found ourselves where we are now. So surely we will try. So we will not promise that we are going to do everything, but we promise that we are going to try our best on which how together we can really bring this community of Greater Jonglei together to live in peaceful coexistence, to forget the past. You know, criminality in those days used to be perfect. So what I mean is, so maybe the moralist criminals have been encouraged, you know, maybe by their leaders. So the same thing to maybe the other side of the river in Jonglei State. But this is what we are going to really to ban it. So we will not really follow that footmark that have been happening before. We want to make sure that as the leadership, so we come together and we share together, and we see how we can really put to an end all these criminalities that have been happening, whether in Jonglei State, Bo community, or in Boma State, Mule, Anyuak, Kashipo, or in Akobo, in Bia, in Fangak, and maybe the rest of our neighboring colleagues. We are going to do the same thing because we are national leaders. We will not be here forever. We will be somewhere, maybe some time to come, but before we go other side of the river, we at least have to lay, you know, the remarkable kind of foundation that one really can really try. And these are the effort that with my brother Philip and the rest of our colleagues in the leadership, in the same level that we are. These are our trials that we are going to make sure that it is happening. So within our level, we will try to do something that may fix, you know, Republic of South Sudan, because, you know, if everybody contribute, it will really make a big heaps, of which that will turn to become contribution of all the 64 tribes. So we will try to fix in the level where we are.
Given your level of participation in army, your community in the past, and embarking on some issues that are controversial, do you think you are genuine about your attempt now to reverse that kind of order, which you participated in putting in place?
Well, it is really easy to justify oneself in a talking, but putting it in action, it is really giving a lot of contradictions. But we may request, our greater Jonglei community or the community of Republic of South Sudan to be patient enough so that they can wait for the right time, for us really to try how best we can really do for this community and for these republics. Otherwise, we cannot just say it. So we are going to really reverse all the negative part that have been happening to do it based on maybe the experience that we have acquired. We will try really to do something that will be appreciable by all our communities. But let us bear enough to make sure that we reach the right time to do that.
And if you must speak back to that drunkard who said you should not kill people again, what would you tell him?
In a theory, it is believed that it is drunkard who says the truth. To me, I cannot condemn that person who says that. So you guys, you are the one killing people yesterday. What do you want to tell us today that you are together and you promise that you are going to put everything afresh? So he's right, by the way, because we do involve in all these activities. If one did not rebel, all this struggle that we have been undertaking, we lose very important people for us to be able to gain this Republic of South Sudan. We either kill the enemy or the enemy kill us. It is the same things. It will never be happening independent or one satisfaction if she doesn't really go for fightings. But fighting must be must be meaningful, not just taking it for granted. So therefore, the drunkard was right to tell us that we killed people yesterday, and today we want to make sure that we bring peace. So together we will ask everybody to be on board with us so that we leave all that have been happening yesterday. Let's see how best today onward we can do things in a peaceful way.
Would you ask them for forgiveness? Would you apologize to them?
Well, of course, we have to apologize for all the wrong that we have done as the leadership or as the leaders. Leaders may be mistaken one day or another way. So, however, we really have to apologize because leading people is not an easy duty that we can just do it, oneself. So it is a collective kind of a duty that everybody has is fixed on. So, however,
on your own behalf.
On my own behalf, in case of anything wrong that I have done, I have to apologize before my people because this is only the way how we can go forward. Otherwise, if we don't apologize for the wrongs that have been seen by our own people, so there's nothing good that we can really do. So so before everybody, so we are here to ask for forgiveness in case we have done something wrong. Now let us move together. Let us accept ourselves because if we don't forgive and forget and start afresh, I don't think that we can be also forgiven. So everybody has a mistake, but let us forgive ourselves and forget it. Then we begin afresh and move forward. It's our call.
What will be your legacy? What do you want to leave behind when you leave Boma Estate as governor?
If United States of America is able to be united in spite of all these different communities, like diversities that are there. So, and Jonglei State and Boma State are the same people. These are the in-laws. These are the friends. These are the same people from the same descendants. However, it is very easy to bring this community together so that they do their schooling together, they do their trading together, they live together, they share their grazing land together, they do all things in common. This is what we want to live, that our people must totally change and get, into a peaceful level of settlement in spite of all this that have been happening.
There will be an island of stability.
Yes.
Peace and tranquility. And there will be prosperity. Governor Philip Aguer Panyang, thanks for coming to Fixing South Sudan. And thank Governor David Yauyau for coming to Fixing South Sudan. Thank you very much.
Thank you.